Hello and welcome to the PowerFish podcast. I'm Fish.
And I'm Ben. Today, we talked about the mechanism of feeling good about yourself, why the multiverse is real, and the importance of learning history. Let's get into it. So I wanted to bring up this tidbit that I learned about how the multiverse might exist. So recently, Google made a quantum chip, a quantum CPU sort of deal. And they did an equation. They ran an equation on it that is notoriously difficult for traditional computers to do. And it did it in about, like, I think a minute or so. But the interesting part is that if they did a calculation just to figure out how long it would take if they had just a normal, like, your computer, my computer, running this problem. The estimation they did was if you took every atom in the entire universe, every atom, and converted it into computing power, and used all that computing power to solve this problem, it wouldn't solve it before the heat death of the universe. So they're concluding, since that doesn't make any sense as to how this computer is computing this problem, they're saying that its quantumness is pulling compute from other universes to solve this equation. Because mathematically, it's not possible to solve this equation with literally all the matter in the universe. So the only way it makes sense to solve this in like a minute is by pulling compute
How do they know
and
it's
matter.
right?
They don't.
Then how do they know they solved it?
So
there's no claim that they solved it. That's a theory to the multiverse theory. It's an evidence, a tidbit of maybe evidence as to why the multiverse theory might exist. You know? Because the Big Bang was a quantum event, right? The entire universe was the size of...
Theoretically, if it happened, yeah, certainly.
Okay, yeah, sure, bro. The entire universe was, smaller than an atom at one point, which is quantum level, and it exploded out, which was called inflation, faster than the speed of light, and then that's where all the matter came from, and here we are today.
Well, yeah, thanks for sharing that. I don't know what to do with any of that information.
This is for brainstorming, of course.
So, okay, let me ask you this. So it was an equation.
He just said he just said that they didn't theoretically, if they could solve this impossible equation, then there's a second universe.
Oh, when you said solve it, you meant the equation, not the multiverse theory? Okay,
yeah.
Sorry. I thought you meant the multiverse theory.
How do they know they solved it if it's so complicated they can't solve it?
I don't know what the equation was.
I would be interested to know what the equation was.
Well, if a computer can't solve it, I don't know if it's something we could comprehend.
That's what I'm saying. So how do you know they solved it?
I don't know. That's a great second order thinking. But I have no idea.
I think
the computer just said they solved it.
I don't know. I'm sure the computer wasn't running Windows or something. Like, there's a lot of information that I don't know.
I just would have thought that you would have had all the facts straight if you wanted to open the show with this. I mean, you didn't even introduce me.
You don't need any introduction.
Everybody's just hearing me, and they have no fucking. Can I say?
Yes.
Everybody is just hearing this voice. They have no clue who I am.
We got Jimmer on the show today.
All right, what's up? Hey, what's up, guys?
Needs no introduction.
Well, okay, so it's an equation, right? And they're saying
It's
that
some sort of, I don't even know if it's mathematical.
That's my
it's
question.
Some sort of problem.
yeah, so it's a problem that cannot be solved with all the matter in
But
the universe.
it might not even be a problem, right? It could be like a render, a simulation. Like if you have a normal computer. So to put it into example, there's a game called Universe Sandbox, and it's a simulation game it's a physics simulation game. And the thing is, you can turn this game into something that any computer today can't run because it's a literal universe physics simulator. It can get bigger and bigger to an infinite scale. So maybe they just took something that a normal computer, it might, like I said, might not have even been a problem. It could have been something that a normal computer couldn't simulate, couldn't render. A task, yes. Thank you. A task that a computer could not do in this amount of time. If all the atoms in the entire universe were turned into computational power and wouldn't get it done before the heat death of the universe, which is, I have no idea how long that is, but I'm sure it's a few years at least. What are you looking up? Are you looking this up?
I'm trying to see if I can find what you're talking about.
Bro, I don't even know if I could find what I was talking about.
That's awesome, dude.
Half the things that I hear are third level, third order through the grapevine, you know?
Well, the heat death of the universe, that I could find a timeline for that.
Yeah, that's probably Googleable. I would guess, I don't know, 15 billion years.
It's 10 to the magnitude of 40
years.
Yeah.
10 to.
So I guess 10 times 10 times 10, 40 times.
Yeah, 10 to the. So that's a
hey,
big number.
maybe I'm just a fucking idiot, man. But I just shut my brain off when I hear that. I have no possible.
It's
response.
not comprehensible.
Yeah,
that's where I'm hung up on. I'm hung up on this idea that, okay, difficulty in computing and it takes a lot of compute power. Got it. But how do you jump from that to the multiverse? Other than
because
it's overabundance.
The physics don't make sense to that. If there's not enough power in our entire universe, and we know quantum level stuff is our origin of the universe, and maybe many others, who knows, potentially quantum level nonsense can interact with other universes.
It's like when they find they find like a UFO crash site and they see some tech on it and they're like, yeah, this is not from this planet. It's so the idea that it could do this, it has to be from somewhere else, I think is what he's saying. Like
Maybe.
The ability to compute it that quickly is so astronomically impressive. It has to be from somewhere else.
That's maybe a logical take.
Maybe.
Bro, there's no concreteness here. There's nothing solid.
I think you're just talking, bro.
Yeah, exactly. That's what this is all about.
God, Mr. Yapper over here.
Don't tell me you couldn't talk on conspiracies for the end of time. That's just talking.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know, man. What do you want to talk about? I got a question. For both of you, actually.
All right, shoot.
Spit.
Why do you guys have an IMDB page for this fucking podcast?
What is IMDb?
It's like a movie thing.
What?
Do we? No, we don't. That's a
yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Yes, you. That is untrue.
And now I want to use bashful about it. So you're us? Oh, no, we don't have one. I didn't make one.
I
tell you,
I didn't know what that was. How do you know it's us? How did you find it,
bro? We have
give some information here. Dude. Explain.
Wait, what? Hold
Here
on.
it is. Podcast episode 40. Should you get a mental health day?
Why do we have an
IMDb?
Why do we have an IMDb page?
Released date December. It got released in the UK.
December 16th.
Yeah, release date March 11th, 2024. That's when we first uploaded.
That was when we.
That's got to be tied into the Podcasters app. That's got to be when we put out our RSS feed.
You know what's funny?
What?
I was looking at this and I saw this. It says recently viewed, but I thought it was suggested, and it was talking sex with your kids. Which you want to talk about conspiracy? This is like tied in with like Pizzagate type.
I don't know what that is.
I don't know what that is.
Oh my God. You guys don't know what Pizzagate is?
No.
I've heard of it. I don't know what it is.
Tell me about it. I want to know about it.
I can't be the fucking Pizzagate guy. The first we've been recording for 10 minutes.
Dude, we're getting into it. What is Pizzagate?
Pizzagate was like, I'm not qualified to speak on this. But it was like
I just talked about quantum computers. We don't
it's
talk
to
about
do
what we're
with
qualified.
like adrenochrome, like adrenochrome. And elites, like the super powerful and rich eating babies to stay young. Hillary
I've heard
Clinton.
of that. I've heard of that.
Yeah.
The guy that shot up the pizza place in Washington D.C. shot up Comet Ping Pong. It's like tied in with like QAnon and shit like that. But one of the guys that is like really like one of the people that those guys have their eyes on as being a weirdo. What did like some show in the 80s? He was it ties in with like Dan Schneider and all that Nickelodeon shit.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And
I know
he
about
had
that.
he had some documentary in the 80s called Talking Sex with Your Kids, and it was supposed to be like some like sex ed thing, but like he used his daughter in it. It's just weird. It's weird pervert shit is what it is. It's frankly ungodly is what it is, but
Ungodly. Yeah. Speaking of God and nothing to do with him, I wanted to confront you on your take of doing 2 hours of cardio a week.
why are you
and
so
its
nasty
implications.
about it? We can just be friends.
Bro, there's no bad blood here. Bro, I'm not being nasty. I just want to, unless we were talking about your opinion of me and food, then I'll be nasty. But
Well,
put
that was
aside for a
another
sec.
thing I wanted
Hey,
to.
Put that aside for a sec. You think doing 2 hours of cardio a week will end war?
It could.
Okay, well, I mean, anything could, but
And I was going to
so
say,
okay, so
me taking
so
a
Ben
step
told
out
me
the
about
door
this.
could end war. Who knows?
Ben told me about this, and I am very fascinated to hear the reason behind it because I feel like I could guess the reason, maybe, but that might be totally wrong. So tell me why.
Because if, God forbid I speak in hyperbolic, maybe it's not war, but maybe it is war. I don't know. But like if you were just regularly doing cardio, you have no worries in the world at all. Like if you are routinely doing cardio, any bad thing that happens to you, any minor inconvenience during the day, you're like, well, that sucks, but I could be like 1 mile into a 5 mile run right now, and that would be way worse.
So
just-
this is the concept of nothing is as bad as what I can do to myself. Sort of.
Yeah,
So
I
it
get-
puts
yeah.
everything into perspective.
Yeah. Yeah, because cardio sucks. And then you just
Yeah.
feel it's just I was just talking about how it de-stresses you. And then I spoke hyperbolically, obviously.
Okay, well I can get that implication.
But it could, I mean, I don't know. It could eliminate all war, I think.
if Vladimir Putin got on the treadmill, maybe he would dismantle his
Yeah,
nukes
but then I
type
was
of
thinking
situation.
like a lot of the people that go to war, they're probably doing a lot of cardio and they still want to go to war. So
Yeah, that's what I
it
was
starts to
thinking.
break down a little bit.
yeah.
Well, this is the same idea as like ice baths.
Maybe there'd be no road rage.
That I could probably get behind.
And if
At
you
least
extrapolate,
less.
what is road rage if not just mini war?
Yeah, it is. I'd say
I'll say
ice
that
baths
is
are the same concept.
that is not the direction I thought that was going to go. So I thought what you were going to say was the chemicals that the body produces during cardio are a mood booster essentially. And so people that have their mood boosted in a positive way would be less angry and don't want to instigate wars.
I think that's like a scientific explanation for what I just said. But yeah, I mean, yeah,
Okay.
because I have done a lot of thinking about like when you do shit that, like, when I run and I feel good, I have always wondered how much of that is like learned behavior and how much of it is actual like natural behavior. Like how much of it is the chemicals being released in my body and how much of it is me just telling myself that I deserve to feel good, you know?
I would say the majority of it is natural. Exercise releasing endorphins and being more effective than literally SSRIs is a pretty known thing. So I would say, I mean, maybe.
I would say that plays into it to a certain degree, though. Absolutely. I mean, if
telling
you
yourself that you should feel good for it.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of it's not a placebo effect. That's not the same concept, but I don't know, a concept that you think something should work, so it does, in a way.
Right. I mean, I think maybe placebo is the right word for it.
You think so? I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
I think that's fair. It might be might not be exactly right, but you're definitely on the right track. I got you.
Yeah. Yeah, but I want to, speaking of war, let's transition into
Israel, Palestine.
No.
I've got some opinions about that, let me tell you. No,
your take of me not having a say on food because I'm a lifetime skinny. Nonsense.
First of all, it was really smug how you said that. Well, because I've always been thin and nice to look at my whole life. You don't
think
get
I'm nice to look at, do you?
You're very svelte.
Okay, sure. What does that have to do with me not having a say on food? If we eat, I bet I could out eat you. I bet I could. And you think because you get fat and I don't have a say on it?
Again, being rude and nasty. Look at it. You know what's insane? This is the problem, dude. Ben has no couth. He gets so
Define
worked up.
couth.
He gets so worked up all the time. Fish and I are just chilling, and you're always so angry.
Yeah, bro, what the fuck?
But this is about.
Don't encourage this, Fisher.
This is about the guy that ordered all the DoorDash.
Yes.
Oh, the DoorDash guy.
This is DoorDash guy.
This is
In
the
fact.
DoorDash guy.
Okay, all right. Bring in this topic back. Let's go. So, okay.
Well,
You I would say had a woefully you underreacted, I would say, to how insane $25,000 in 2 years is.
it's not that crazy.
That's an insane take.
But here's the thing: is, and I'm with Fish. I'm with you. I listened to the episode.
Okay, all right.
If you are obviously strictly DoorDash is crazy. The idea of doing that is crazy. But
Yes.
if you accept that's the reality we're in, to only spend $12,000 is not crazy.
Okay. If you accept what is crazy, sure, it's not crazy.
You have to accept that if you're eating DoorDash 3 times a day, you have to accept that part of it. But then if he's
Do you?
only spending
I think what he's saying is we just live in a universe where you DoorDash 3 times a day. And we're not talking about whether or not that's insane. We're just talking about that is real. Right? Is that fair?
Yeah, we're just accepting that part of it's real. And if that is real, $12,000, he was kind of on a budget.
But we shouldn't accept that part is real because that's the crazy part.
Yeah, but if you want to
DoorDash
play it
multiple times a day is crazy. And that's like saying, hey, I'm going to go blow up an orphanage, which is crazy. But if you put the crazy part aside and look at that he pressed a button to do it, pressing a button isn't that crazy.
if you eat DoorDash every single day and you spend $12,000, it's $33 a day.
On delivered food every
It's
day.
$33 a day. If you could not get up from your recliner because you're 700 pounds and you had to get it delivered, $33 a day for 3 meals, that's $11 a meal. And the delivery fee is basically double whatever the food is. So that's $6 a meal of actual food. That's not crazy. Fish.
I don't know what you're talking about. I think it's crazy. Now listen.
Yes.
Now listen.
I'm just talking about the figures.
Now listen to me. So on its face, right? $11 a meal. That is average for go out and not make your own food, spend it out kind of money, right? So basically,
Sure.
He's spending the average on its face. If you're saying that you are going to not cook your own meals every single meal every single day for a year or 2 years in this case, at that rate, you're not spending a lot of money comparatively, right? However, the amount of money you could save by not doing that is astronomical.
I'm with you.
Crazy, I would say.
I'm with you. I'm just saying that if that's what we're doing and we're just eating out, if you just ate out every single meal, you could do 12 grand easy.
Which would be crazy.
But you could do it.
I think what Jimmer's trying to get at here, if I'm going to put words in Jimmer's mouth right now, what I think he's trying to get at here is if you're a person that DoorDashes everything, DoorDash guy did not overdo it.
Sure. If you're crazy and you live in your crazy world, that's not crazy. Yeah, sure.
I'm just
I'll accept
accepting
that.
that's the parameters. I'm willing to play around in these crazy concepts and accept them as reality temporarily.
Suspend your disbelief.
I'm willing to suspend my disbelief for the sake of conversation.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess we've had a middle ground. So now where the hell does that lead to me not being able to speak on food?
Because you have obviously someone like me who's incapable of controlling myself around food. I am much more sympathetic to DoorDash guy. You, with your nice lean body, you're very disciplined. So you don't get.
No, dude, you're looking at this all sorts of wrong. I am not any more disciplined with food. I just simply don't get big. That's the only difference.
All you do is eat microwave steaks.
Air fried.
Well, you just pop that bitch in the microwave. It's soggy and wet and floppy. It's Jesus Christ.
Okay, so I take the Jordan Peterson route. That's what he does. That's who I got it from.
I don't want to
Air fried
derail.
steaks.
I don't want to derail the episode. I want to just fit in seamlessly with what was on the agenda.
Actually,
This is the agenda.
Derailment is our specialty.
Right.
Okay,
Well,
yeah.
I was really excited to be on the Christmas episode, but I wasn't invited on.
You to that.
I know. I was really excited to be on it because I wanted to share the story of how I learned Santa Claus wasn't real. I didn't know if you guys discussed that at all.
We can take that now because that would have been valuable insight at the time.
Well, I just thought you guys might find it interesting because it's not a crazy story, but you guys remember, did you guys play Battlefront, Star Wars Battlefront?
Of course,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Obviously. I got Star Wars Battlefront 2, whatever year that came out. I think it came out in 2005 or something like that. And I got it for Easter as an Easter gift. The Easter Bunny gave it to me. And my mom wrote my name on the inside of it. Like in case, I don't know. Because I think my cousin also got a copy of it. So that way we wouldn't mix it up, the copies. And she wrote my name on the inside of it and said it was from the Easter Bunny. And I said, why does the Easter Bunny have your handwriting? And then my mother lied to me and said, well, he's magical and he can copy handwriting. And I said, that's not true. And then she's like, yeah, the Easter Bunny's not real and neither's Santa. And that's how I found out.
Wow. So she just gave up everything right there. She's just like, oh,
she tried.
Santa's
she tried.
fake.
But
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
So how old were you?
it came out in 2005, so I would have been 7, I guess. Which I feel like is pretty young.
What do you think the typical?
I feel like 9.
Yeah,
I
was
would say
thinking
9 or 10. That's where I was landing.
What grade would you say?
Oh, I didn't do grades, dude. I did.
I would say
Oh, yeah,
entering
I
into
forgot.
middle school.
My bad. Bad guy to ask about grades.
I would say entering into middle school is probably
What is that, 4th grade?
That would be 4th grade, yeah.
So 4th graders are 9. 9
Oh
and
yeah,
10.
that's about right. Yeah. I remember
graders.
entering into middle school, and you kind of get this idea like, oh, I'm not in elementary school no more. I'm a big bad adult man. I can't be believing in Santa Claus and none one bit. I have an interesting story actually. It's not interesting. It's when I found out that Santa wasn't real, and I don't remember how old I was, but it was around Christmas time, and I remember. It was myself and my grandmother, and we were sitting in the parking lot of Kmart, right? And I don't remember how this conversation was going, but we were talking about Christmas or the Christmas celebration or whatever, or how we were prepping for Christmas. And she just looks at me, unprompted, right? She looks at me unprompted and says, "You know Santa's not real, right?" I said, "Yeah," because I had just found out.
Oh, you already know.
No, I didn't know. She.
Oh, right there. You were playing. You're a cool guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I played it
Of course,
off.
it's not fucking real.
I played it off real,
And you
real
were
good.
You were crying when she turned around.
Exactly. Yeah, that was my story. I was just sitting there and unprompted. Hey, by the way, your hopes and dreams shattered.
That was your grandmother or your mother?
My grandmother. Yeah.
Grandmother. Yeah, that's not. I keep saying this. Old people don't have. They used all their fucks in young life. They don't have any left to give.
Yeah.
When my sister found out, someone at school like said it, because I think it was kind of late that my sister was still believing, and she came home and asked my mom, and my mom just finally just straight up said no, and then my sister bawled for hours.
Real. See, I think my parents did me a service by saying, yeah, Santa's bullshit from the get-go.
Yeah, but you like were chained to a radiator in the basement your whole life. Like your childhood is not. I don't think your childhood counts. You like because you never left the house. You just got homeschooled, and it was like I don't want to dox you. I don't know what information you've given out on this platform.
I left the house less than any public schooler, I would say, but I still had things like sports that I would play with other people. I would still the public school activities that you get enrolled in were still a thing.
Nah, bro didn't touch grass till he was 19.
Yeah, the day we started this podcast.
Exactly.
Because I'm 19.
Good.
Is that what you're telling everybody?
No, I'm not 19. That was a joke.
For a second, I was like, "Holy shit! They've only done 40 episodes in 4 years."
That was a. We were going through star signs, and wasn't that one of my star signs is difficult to tell when joking?
I think
or
so.
was that somebody else's star sign that we just applied to myself?
Yeah, because we went through the star signs to show that they were bullshit.
I think they call that autistic.
Sick. But yeah, no, we went through the star signs and we just picked a random one just to see like, oh, will it apply to you? And the answer was kind of. But also
I think they all do.
Also your star signs that were supposed to be for you also did not apply to you for the most part. Or like some did, but others
I think there was like 1 or 2 that applied to me.
Yeah.
Basically, astrology is dumb, is what we came to the conclusion.
Yeah, check out
What's your star
check
sign,
out that
Gemma?
episode.
I think I'm a Libra. I think. Whatever, it's right before Scorpio. I'm like,
we looked at Scorpio. What was
if I was born a day later, I would have been a Scorpio.
Libra?
And
Let's
I know
look
that
at- let's
because
look at what that
Scorpios
is.
are supposed to fuck hard.
I think one of the traits was looks good in a leather jacket.
Yeah,
So
I'm
that-
a Libra.
So that tracks.
For you?
No, for a Scorpio. I'm in. What am I?
You were a freaking which birthday?
April?
What?
April?
Yeah, April what?
Oh, does it matters?
Yes, it matters. Yeah, you would be a Taurus. Yeah, because if you were earlier in the month, if you were April 19th, you'd be an Aries.
Oh,
So you're a Taurus.
I thought it was simply month based.
No.
No. What about like, is that where birthstones, is that
Birthstones are something
related
else.
to that?
I'm pretty sure. Birthstones are
What is a birthstone?
You know what a birthstone is? Mine's a pearl, I think. Right?
That's crazy you knew that off the top of your head.
Yeah.
Well, I don't even know if
what that is.
I don't even know if that's accurate though.
The only reason I was thinking about birthstones is because I had to get not to pussy brag, but I had to get my girlfriend a necklace for Christmas, and I got it was her birthstone, and I went to get, like, I asked the price on one of them because it didn't have a price tag on it, and she said, "Oh, this one's $1,699, like $1,699." And I said,
Goodness.
"All right, well,
Oh,
I'm gonna take the one that's $120 right next to it and call it a day."
Jimmer the kind,
Yeah, that's-
Jimmer the kind of guy to when he says he has a girlfriend say he's pussy bragging.
I said, "I'm not here to pussy brag."
No,
implying that saying you have a girlfriend is pussy bragging.
I'm not. Yeah, I mean, I'm not here to pussy brag, but
Yeah. Well, I guess Fisher has pussy bragged 100 times.
yeah.
Up to this
Fisher.
point.
Because I'll say, hey, I was talking with my girlfriend about this. I'm not trying to be like, hey, yo, I got a girlfriend.
Hey, my bitch in the other room. Yeah.
Can we hit the big pause button on this? My robot vacuum is not to pussy brag about my robot vacuum, but but it's going off in the other room and it's annoying me.
I'll let Fisher describe it. Describe what we were planning, the trolley problem game. Describe that game.
Okay, so the game is called Trial by Trolley. Is the name of the game.
Yeah.
And,
are we gonna do it? You don't want to do it?
I think we could do it later at like some future date potentially.
Yeah, we could do it in a different episode.
But anyway, what the game
Start
is
with it.
essentially is there needs to be a minimum of 3 people. One person per round will be the judge. Other 2 people have their own trolley tracks. And you need to build out your track using cards. So you're going to say, hey, my track's got your grandma on it, right? And then the other person says, hey, my track has a bus full of orphans, right? And then then the other guy goes, okay, but then I would say, okay, but your track, so I'm playing on the other guy's track, your track also has actually Hitler on it. And then the other guy goes, okay, but your track has the Antichrist or some shit. And then I would say, like, yeah, maybe my track has Hitler on it, but Hitler actually fosters orphans now. And then
and then there's the
other way.
judge judging whose track.
So
So
how long do you do that?
You do okay, so you do 1 card for your track that's good. You play a bad card on the other person's track, and then you play a modifier card on any card to modify its properties.
Gotcha.
And then they judge. And
Gotcha.
we would do that for a handful of rounds.
Fun game. I haven't played it, but it sounds fun. We were talking about that trolley. We did a, I think it will have been the episode right before this. Or maybe it would have been 2 episodes. I don't know. A previous episode. We did 20 separate trolley problems on if you should pull the lever or not. Some of them were pretty tough. Like, what would you do in the normal trolley problem?
What is it, like 3 and 1, or what is? I don't
So
remember
the normal
what it is.
trolley problem is the trolley is on a track heading towards
Are we
5
recording
people.
again?
Yeah, we're on.
Oh.
The
We're
normal
back.
trolley, yeah, we'll cut somewhere in this. So the normal trolley problem is it's on a track going towards 5 people. and you're at a lever that can pull the track onto pull the lever to switch the track onto one person.
Just to one person, yeah.
Right. Or if you do nothing, it splats the 5.
Kills the 5, yeah.
What would you do?
Do I get any sort of like who they are, or just they're all pretend they're all the
Strangers.
same person, but they're all like say 25, whatever. Because
Sure.
obviously I would.
All is it? Well, are you saying if like one of them was fat, you would?
I was saying if one. No, I was more thinking age.
Well, here's the
okay.
thing, right? So if one
Like
of, if one of them was
if it was one that was 85, and that was when you're changing it to, like, I could see people making the argument, yeah, just take her out.
exactly.
Okay.
But if they were fat though, maybe they could absorb the impact of the trolley.
Yeah, true.
I mean, that's
Or lift it,
or yeah.
or
Well-
lift the trolley and save the people behind them.
There's a modifier on this trolley problem where the trolley is coming.
The trolley's
back.
coming.
Yes.
Pause.
Most people say they would pull the lever and save the 5. I agree
don't
with
know.
that. I think you should save the 5. It just makes sense. So a modifier on that is there's a oncoming train, but you're not at a lever. You're on a bridge above the trolley, and there is no separate track. The trolley is going towards 5. But there's an extremely fat man on the bridge that you can push over that lands in front of the trolley, stopping it, killing him, but saving the 5. Would you do that? And more people say that they would not do that to save the 5 than they would pull the lever and kill the 1 to save the 5.
Why? I don't get it. Like, I get it, but why would that? I don't know how that affects it at all.
Because pulling the lever is to change a track to run someone over is significantly less personal than shoving someone off a bridge. Yeah.
I could see that. Like the white lab coat experiment? Was that the Milgram experiment?
No?
I think that's what it is. The Milgram experiment was like in the 70s, I think. And the idea was... Sorry. Yeah. The idea was basically they had people go into a doctor's office, and I don't remember how they staged it all, but they had people in the doctor's office, and they were supposed to administer tests. Like, they would send out electric shocks to someone on the other side of the wall, and the shock would progressively get stronger. And then every time, like, it would start out and, like, there'd be a tape on the other side, and the tape would say, like, ow. But then eventually, like, as it got higher, like, they would start screaming, like, and they did the test, like, they would change, like, what the person conducting the test was wearing. And, like, if they wore a lab coat across the board, people were more likely to keep shocking them, like, more aggressively.
People respond to figures of authority, I think, is what the test was testing. Yeah.
But even if you were told he was a doctor, but he wasn't wearing a lab coat, you're less likely to. They found your. Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't know that detail. That's interesting.
Yeah. That's like, I think it's called like lab coat syndrome or like the white lab coat experiment is what it's referred to.
Stuff like that is riddled throughout. There's a book I read called Thinking Fast and Slow, where it's basically just a psychology book of kind of how our evolved brains are just really stupid in a lot of ways like that, where they just do things that don't make any sense in today's age.
Well, that was like, you read The Comfort Crisis, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. There was that part in it. There's the part that I thought was really profound and was relevant to me was when they would have like the photos of people's faces, and they told the person to pick out the most intimidating face in the photo. And then after they like had them rank them 1 to 5 in intimidating. And then they would go through it a bunch of times, and eventually they would cycle it out, and they would go like, eventually the person that they said was least intimidating would become, the more they saw it, it would become more intimidating. So the idea is like, if you remove problems from your life, your body will not just remove problems, it'll just find new problems somewhere else.
Right. You're never going to be problem free.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you finish that book?
I never read it. I just listened to it. But yeah, I finished it.
Okay. Yeah, that was a fun book. I would say there wasn't a whole lot to pull from it other than basically the obstacle is the way.
Yeah, true.
Then
Yeah.
that was the underlying message, which is a good one because most people don't operate on that notion. The obstacle is the way to not go, and then they end up sitting on a couch watching TV all day.
I would say I've noticed that with a lot of people, kind of an obstacle averse personality. It's tough, and it's tough to convince people otherwise, isn't it? Like you can't. It's very difficult to convince a person that they can grow and out of their situations.
I mean, yeah. Are you just going to go up to someone and say, "Hey, go put yourself, go find some voluntary suffering because it'll make you happy"?
Listen,
that doesn't make sense.
Well,
like,
what
are you saying?
I mean, to be fair to the argument, I don't think that you would necessarily convince somebody to. It's more about, I think, tackling problems that are pertinent to you, right?
I don't think like you just wake up and feel good about yourself. I think that's a lot of the problem is like if you never tackle any obstacles, like you have no reason to feel good about yourself as a human being. You know what I mean? I do think that. I do think that. Like I don't think you just like naturally have the right to feel good about yourself. Like if you did nothing all day, I don't think there's any reason why you should be like, yeah, I really,
So you're applying this practically. You're saying if there's not a list of things I accomplished about myself, I have no reason to feel good about myself. Therefore, I am correct in thinking I am worthless. That's a very diplomatic sort of tangible.
That is how
way
I
of
look
looking
at it,
that.
though.
I would say I agree with that take. I just certainly think it's not a take for everyone.
I was gonna say I don't know if that's a helpful.
Well, I hate myself, so
I don't know if that's a
joke's
helpful.
on you, idiot. I hate myself.
Yeah, I mean, how would you get? Let's become therapists here for a sec. This is what probably their biggest, their biggest client is someone that doesn't feel good about themselves, probably because, according to Jimmer, they don't have this list of things that they've done.
it's not necessarily like a list, but like if you don't feel good about yourself, if you just like take a step back and look, like if you were someone else and not yourself, how would you judge yourself? You know what I mean?
Basically, if you were looking at yourself from somebody else's eyes,
Yeah.
What would you see?
Like if you don't feel good about yourself, well, what were the things that you did recently? You know what I mean? Have you done anything that you would deem worthy of feeling good about,
Is it possible to...
Is that a crazy thing to say? I don't know.
No. But is it possible to build this list, but not actually a list, build this thing of reasons why you should feel good about yourself, but is it possible to have any of those reasons be anything that don't involve voluntary suffering in some way?
Yeah,
is voluntary suffering just a mandatory part of that?
No, because you could do something. It's a very like, it's not like necessarily doing tasks, but it's like, oh yeah, I did whatever if you're a salesman, like, oh, I sold this car to someone and now they're going to benefit from this car. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily like suffering, or it could be just like doing nice things for people in everyday life. It's not necessarily like I worked out or I,
Right.
did
I mean,
wind
that was
sprints.
my first thought, was not an extreme example, but just giving somebody a compliment. That's something
Being
that you
good to other people.
That's something like if I go, Jim, or good shirt. Yep.
Nice.
Yeah. You know, like, I mean, that's like, listen, that's not, I didn't, do something insane.
He didn't mean it. He just said it.
Yeah. I didn't even have to mean it.
Yeah, true. Exactly.
But okay, no, hear that. If you don't actually mean it and you know that, does that count as something on your list?
But you made them feel good.
So is what's valuable your intent, or is what's valuable how you actually feel about it? If your intent is to make them feel good with a lie, is that just as good as saying something that you actually believe?
Now I'm going to say something. Right now.
He did not care at all about that question.
No. This is related. I'm going to say something, and I'm going to say something from my formal education. But here's the thing. Yes. Here's the thing about what I'm about to say. I don't remember any of the like inner workings of what I'm about to say. I remember the general gist of it, and I don't even remember the names of it. So when I took an ethics course, there was this idea of what is good, what is actually good. Is it the idea of something, or like the intention, right? Is it the intention, or is it the outcome? And then, so this is actually a school of thought. Well, I don't know where we landed in on this. I mean, it's ambiguous, obviously, but that's an actual like analyzed thing. This is recognized in the world of ethics. What is important? What is good? The intention or the outcome? If I go up to you or let's say one of you is drowning. Ben's drowning, right? And I see Ben's drowning, and I'm like, bro, that's crazy. I should do something about that, maybe. If I think in my head, hey, I'm going to record myself doing this, and I'm going to post it on social media, and I'm going to get so much clout, and then I save you, some would argue that it's not that good. And that's somebody that's concerned about intentions. But somebody that's concerned about outcome, I save your life no matter what.
That's a way of introspection as well, I think, is judging your... Personally, I have a terrible problem with judging myself based on thoughts rather than outcomes. Mm-hmm. And I think if you're judging yourself, what you should do is judge yourself based on your actions, not your thought about the actions. Because faking being something is being that thing. You can't fake. So, like, what if you're faking being brave? Is that even possible? If you're scared of something but do it anyway, isn't that the definition of bravery? If you're faking being brave and doing the thing, you're doing the thing. So you have to judge yourself based on actions, not thoughts about the actions. But if if that extends to somebody else, like your example of drowning but wanting clout for it, I don't know if you can apply that the same way.
Yeah, but I don't think like the lying. What if you like lied to somebody and complimented them? Is that intention or is that outcome? Because really,
the outcome is positive.
Yeah, but they're both positive. Unless it was like you meant to make fun of somebody and they took it as a compliment, I guess then. But even if I like lied and told somebody that I liked their shirt when I thought their shirt was ugly, my intention was for them to feel good. So it's still like the intent and the outcome were good.
Even though,
true. Yeah.
Unless I was like, yeah, bro, that shirt looks good. Like being sarcastic, and then they took it as, then I guess the intention would be. But this is a bit of, do the ends justify the means is what it is.
Another example of
a whole
lying
idiom. A whole idiom for it.
So like another example of lying on purpose. So I work in sales, and one of the things they talk about is effectively breaking down I don't know, like there's a barrier between you and your client, right? And you need to break that down so that they can actually trust you. And one of the things they say a lot is give a compliment. But in that situation, a compliment is a means to an end. It's a means to break down a trust barrier.
The same applies. There's a book I read called Influence, and things like that are throughout the book. If you there's reciprocity. If you give someone something or do something, everyone. So this whole idea of social debt that I was talking about during the Christmas episode, everyone has this, even if they're not as conscious of it as I am. If you give someone or do something for someone, even if it's like really, really, really small and insignificant, and maybe something that they don't even think about consciously, they're immediately going to be more inclined to be more agreeable. And if you're like in your example, if you're in sales, buy whatever you're selling. Like, and companies use this all the time in like newsletters.
Yeah.
They give you something that, even if it's not of value to you, it is influence. If they give, like, there was an example in the book that I've forgotten, but it was something to do with a company sent letters to everyone. It was just like a card about how they appreciate, like if a customer bought something, they then sent the customer also a card with like a handwritten note of a thanks with their name in it. And the sales for the people they sent the card to versus the people they didn't send that extra card to, like it was like 80 something % more sales for the people that got that card compared to didn't, even though they're not actually even receiving anything of value. Like they didn't give them a gift card or something like that. Literally just a thank you card. And that was it. And it skyrocketed the sales just because of this reciprocity sort of ingrained nature. And it's a tactic. It is a sort of play on people's nature.
I think that's
like that.
I think that's fascinating. I never really thought about it that way. Kind of a predatory almost, or at least in my mind, a predatory.
But yeah, is that predatory? You're just sending them a thank you note. That's
but
it.
I mean, you're playing on their human nature to an extent.
But is that not the same as lying to someone about their Jimmer, your shirt looks great, even though I think it's disgusting or something like that? Is that not the same situation?
I don't know. I mean, listen, I think that there's a disconnect for me, right? I think that there's a difference between me on a personal level talking to somebody and then a corporation employing
so
even
where's
the same
line? If you on a personal level scaled to 100 personal people,
I think. Well, okay, hold on, because there is actually a difference between the Jimmer shirt and the corporation, and the difference is getting something in return, right? Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I mean, like, if you want to talk about getting something in return, like, that's the argument of like everyone is acting in their own self-interest at all times. And everyone acting in their own self-interest at all times is ultimately the best for society. Because when I give you a compliment on your shirt, I am trying to make you feel good, but I'm only trying to make you feel good because it would in turn make me feel good. But then, then you would have to, in order to do, that's kind of like, do you believe humans are inherently good or bad? And I would be inclined to say humans are inherently good. But if you're someone who would not think that, then maybe you'd have different opinions on that. But yeah, that's the idea of like everyone is always acting in their own self-interest, which is actually a positive, even though on the surface it sounds like a negative.
So if I'm going to be nice to you because I want to feel good about myself, sort of
why
thing.
Why else are you not? I mean, if you break it down to the root of it, that's what it is.
Do you think that's always the case? Do you think it's possible for someone to want to be nice to somebody else because they want, just full stop, because they want that person to be happy? Do you think that's possible?
I think you'd have to find I don't think so, no.
So that sounds more like you're on the side of people are inherently bad, not good.
No, because if I derived no positivity out of your positivity, like if you being happy made me mad, then I would be bad. But because I'm good, I'm inherently good. I want everyone to be happy.
But is acting in your own self-interest without a care for the other person good? Even if the outcome is good?
I would say so. Like if I complimented anyone for anything, at the end of the day, it is because, well, I guess, I don't know. Cause now I'm thinking about like, if you feel obligated, what if you feel obligated to do something?
Like a people
Like what
pleaser.
if you're trying to do something to like get out of being in, like, if you're in a relationship and you do something to get out of the doghouse, but I guess that goes back to intent.
Right.
Yeah.
Your intent is not to make someone happy. Your intent is to get someone off your back.
Which is just acting on own self-interest. It's the same as wanting to feel good about yourself.
But that's it. But that, I guess it would also require like healthy power dynamics, because that situation right there is an unhealthy relationship between two individuals where you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you're doing something just to get somebody off your back, that's like a strained relationship, a strained relation,
Yeah, theoretically, you should actually want to make amends with your partner. I would say, yeah, like truly.
I think we're so far off in the weeds, talking about nothing.
I mean, that's fine.
This is not nothing. This is the something that gets people to stay tuned.
This is the secret sauce.
You think so?
Yeah, this is the layers of stuff this is the stuff that needs to be talked about. This is the quiet part. Say it out loud.
I mean, listen. When we did the Christmas episode and we went off on tangents, we were actually you could track the layers of tangents we were down, and we had to then unpack them one by one to get back to the base level conversation.
There was like 3 layers of sub tangents. Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. This is why we're here.
It's engaging.
Drew, the relational stuff, like, I don't know. I get so spazzed out about like technology and people being unable to talk. So like I went back to school and like I went back to college, and now I'm in classes with people that are 19 or 20, and even their ability to like have a conversation is insane. Like they cannot speak to you. Like they don't know how to have like a face-to-face conversation. Like they look around, or like they can't look you in the eye. It's crazy. Yeah. And then you look at little kids and it's even worse. And every single second of the day, I'm just like trying to not spin out and think that society's collapsing.
I mean, how can you not? Jonathan Haidt wrote a book about this called The Anxious Generation. And this is literally what you just described is the entire topic of this book. And it's social media and phones, and I know we sound like 60 years old right now, but it's actually a problem. These kids are screwed. Teenagers are losers, and they can't, like you said, they can't maintain eye contact. They don't know how to talk. This stuff is imperative for things like interviews and getting a job, and they're never going to be able to do it.
Nothing sends me up a wall like when I'm trying to talk to somebody and they can't have a conversation. Even like, because even people that are going to school to be teachers, like, you think that you're gonna command a room of 7th graders? You can't speak to someone your own age in the eyes. How do you expect to command a room or have any sort of respect from a bunch of children? It's crazy.
What's the feeling you get when you're talking to somebody? Give an example. What's a conversation you've tried to have that has gone poorly? In what way?
It's not even like poorly. It's just like,
not fluent.
we have to, a lot of like upper level education courses are a lot of like workshopping and discussing ideas. It's not necessarily like paperwork. It's just like, how would you handle this situation? Shit like that. And it's like, they're just so awkward and they can't keep up a conversation and they don't want to talk, or they mumble, or the thing that pisses me off like no other is when someone is talking, like public speaking, and they don't know how to pronounce a word, and then they say, "Oh yeah, that word," like whatever it is, like whatever word they can't pronounce.
Yeah.
Like be a adult and just say the word. I don't understand.
Even if
And
it's
it's
wrong.
not. It's not people that have speech impediments. You know, I'm not talking about people with cleft palates.
So
I'm
how
talking
would you, if you, okay, you're in front of a crowd of 5,000 people and you see a word that you can't pronounce.
I'm talking about people in front of a group of 5 people.
Okay, 5
I'm not
people.
talking about
Anybody.
5,000 people.
Anybody. If you see a word you can't pronounce, I agree, don't do that word.
I would
but
be
what do you do?
You'd be hard pressed to find. I don't know. Is there a bunch of words you think you can't pronounce? I guess if it's another language. But
I mean, it depends on the topic.
I mean, I would say it's completely valid to have a word slip your mind or something.
Yeah, I don't think that's that unusual.
But if you're like reading something, I'm talking about like people that are giving presentations and they have a word in their presentation that they don't know how to say.
Okay, if it's self-prepared, then yeah, that's ridiculous. But
Yeah.
Yeah, no, like if I like, let's say I don't do a lot of public speaking, but like, I mean, I've been in circles where we're like reading stuff together and reading aloud.
But you do sales. That's public speaking.
Well, I mean, but I'm not reading something. But okay, but okay, just to go on along with it. In those situations, generally speaking, even if I don't know how to pronounce the word, I'm just gonna take a stab at it. And then if it leaves my mouth and I know it's wrong, I'll be like, that's wrong. And then I'll either try to correct myself or I'll just move on. I mean,
Yeah, I don't know. Or like people that are like, they speak so quiet you can't hear them, or I don't know.
now that drives me up a wall.
I do think it is a bit of an age thing though, because I think that now that I came back to school, I'm a lot better about it than maybe when I would have been college age. You know, not that I'm old, but I was off for 4 years, so I'm 26 now. So I do feel much more confident in myself than when I was 20 or 21, I guess. But
I guess I probably do too, but I'm barely over that. Like maybe if I was 17 or 18, I probably wouldn't be that good at communicating. But
I think there's a big jump in the way you communicate and the way you perceive things from like 23 to 25. Like a big jump. Like
so you're saying I've still got a long way to go.
I'm not at all. I think I'm totally different than I was a few years ago. Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's fair. I mean,
Yeah. I believe that.
I mean,
I
you've
don't
known
think-
me, so
Right.
I mean, we're young lads, so I'm just speculating here. But I mean,
We're all young, dumb, and full.
but I mean, I would say you're probably right though. I mean, the life experience you get from early 20s to later 20s, there's a lot of life in there, a lot of experiences, a lot of jobs potentially. You know,
But do you think you would be who you are now, but sooner if you stayed in college?
no.
Why?
I think it's less about. I don't think it's about college. I think it's just a living life.
Well, you live a lot of life pretty quickly when you're
But
in
I
college.
think, yeah, but I also think that being in college is like the last microcosm of childhood in a way.
I would agree with that. I think it's
Because I went away from it and was a real adult and all I did was go to work and I had to pay rent and then eventually had to pay a mortgage. And then I went back. I think that's way more like, I guess it's just soft skills really is what they lack. They have like no communication skills,
Yeah.
but I don't know. That's all I had to say about that. But
It's that damn phone.
yeah, the phones freak me out. The phones, the Ring cameras, all of it. We're in a fucking police state.
dude, they're watching us, bro.
It is like one in every like 5 houses, I think.
Have you doxed yourself? Have you doxed your occupation on here?
I
FedEx?
You.
Everybody here knows I work at FedEx. Everybody that's listened, yeah.
How do you know everybody that's listened? You know every single person that's listened?
Don't take what I said literally. I have said on this podcast that I work at FedEx.
Yeah, like when I am walking up to a house and I see a Ring camera, I get so I get pissed.
Really?
I hate it. I hate being on camera.
It doesn't even cross my mind.
I'm not on camera right now.
I see. It's crazy.
I'm purposely not recording my audio right now. Like I hate the idea that they can watch me on the camera. Like when you are on their front porch, can be watching you.
Yeah.
Why
So?
do they get that right?
Because it's their property and you're on it.
I get that, but at the same time, like, I don't know. I get so annoyed by it. I don't know.
So, okay, what if somebody
It just creeps me out. It just creeps me out.
What if somebody broke into your house and you would have been able to identify them if you had one, but you didn't? Then would you change your mind about it?
That's the risk you run, I guess. I don't know. I don't really think locks really keep out. I don't think locks keep anybody out.
That's why I didn't ask if they broke them out or not. If you were able
You just think
to
you'd be able to
identify
identify them?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, freedom's dangerous. That's the most dangerous thing you can have is freedom.
So are you
The safest place. No, no. The safest place to be is a place with no freedom.
It almost sounds like you're anti-freedom.
I was gonna say you're not making a great case for your stance.
No,
here.
I think. But safety is not necessarily the safest place to be. Is a fucking penitentiary. The safest place to be would be solitary confinement. You're not gonna get hurt in solitary confinement.
Yeah, you're probably not going to get hurt if you live and die in solitary confinement. But
that's the safest place for you.
Okay, your argument on being in a penitentiary. Yeah, sure. Technically, if no one else existed on the planet, and sure, solitary confinement, you are the most safe. But obviously, that's not a trade-off anybody in the right mind would take.
No, but that is a trade-off the whole time is like safety versus freedom. That's like everything you do.
But you can
think about when you go to work. Think about when you go to work. You give up freedom for safety.
For money, I would say.
That's the safety that comes from money. You give up your freedom, your time, your freedom for money, which is the safety.
So do you think someone that doesn't have a job on the street,
a homeless person's like the freest person in the world?
Right, so they're less safe. You think? Because they're more free than us.
Well, they would be more free in the sense that they can do whatever they want at any time. And they're not and they're not very safe because they're outside.
What's unsafe about being outside?
Who knows what's outside?
Bro, you're sounding like one of your college kids, dude. One of these little rats.
Little rats.
Yeah, nobody is going to want to hear me on this again. Ever again. Everybody's going to say, get that fucking idiot off of here.
Well, we've never gotten a comment on one of these, so I doubt it.
You're about to get 3 at least.
Okay.
They're all going to be negative.
They're all going to be like, this Jimmer guy's a joke, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He hogged up all the mic time and he was just babbling. I can tell you the story of Ned Christie. You guys know Ned Christie?
That's a familiar name.
I've been reading this book about Wild West cowboys. Like Jesse James and the Dalton gang, like that. And Ned Christie was a guy, he was an outlaw in the 70s. He was a Native American outlaw, actually. And he got in trouble for killing a deputy, and he was wanted for years. And he was a blacksmith. And so as America was moving west, pretty much the furthest west they had gotten was Arkansas. So then anything in like Oklahoma and Kansas and Nebraska was just under the jurisdiction of Arkansas at the time. It was just like deemed Oklahoma territory.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's any fact checkers in the audience, this is only 65% right. But So it was a gigantic area. So when people were wanted, I mean, it was very easy for them to stay on the run because it was just a huge area. And this guy, Ned Christie, got in trouble for killing a deputy, and they found him, and he was a blacksmith, and they lit his house on fire, and they thought for sure he wouldn't make it out. It was a firefight. They shot him in the shoulder. He went down, and then they lit the house on fire, and the deputies left, and they're like, we'll come back in a few days and get his body. His wife had drug him out of the burning building, and he survived, and he rebuilt his log cabin. They burned down his shop. He had a log cabin. He rebuilt his log cabin, like double wide log cabin, and put sand in between the logs, like sand and dirt, and then built little portholes outside of it so he could shoot out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So the deputies come back, and he was on the run again. They found him. The deputies come. They cannot get to him because he's inside this fortress. So they bring in a cannon. They call in a cannon, which had to come in by train, obviously, because they couldn't carry it on horseback. They get a cannon. They shoot at it, and the cannonball just bounces off. Like, it does not do anything to this thing.
What?
They load another cannonball into it. The cannonball explodes in the barrel. So it destroys the cannon. So now it's house 1, cannon 0.
Is this a real thing?
This is a real story. Google Ned Christie right now, and you'll see his dead body. It's the first photo you'll see.
Ned Christie?
Ned Christie. This is a real story. So then they lit the house up with dynamite. They blew up the house, and they shot him as he was coming out of the house. They shot him. They strapped him on this board, which if you Google Ned Christie is the photo you'll see. He's holding a gun.
Mm-hmm.
There's a gun in his hand. His eyes are closed because he's dead. That's his dead body.
Jeez.
They strapped him. They strapped him to a door, and they shipped him to Arkansas, and they put him on display because they're like, we got him. He's dead. Look, we got him. They put him on display, and they took photos of him and shit, and then they gave him to his family. They gave the body back to his family so they could bury him.
Bro was 39.
What?
But this photo of him with glasses, they put glasses on him, and he's holding a gun. He's dead. That was when they shipped him to Arkansas, so that the judge could like verify that was him.
Jeez.
Why were they after him again?
Because he shot a deputy, I believe.
Oh.
And he was a train robber. All those guys were robbers.
Huh. Yeah, that's...
Because a lot of the guys in the South during the Civil War, they were off fighting. And then as they were fighting, all their plantations got burned down. So they come back from the war, and they're already pissed at America, obviously, because they just went to war. And then they get back, and their whole farm has been destroyed. So they're like, well, I'm just going to be a criminal for the rest of my life. And a lot of those early like outlaws were ex-Confederate soldiers.
Right. That's
and then
crazy.
And then the cowboys turned into mobsters.
And you're reading, is this book just full of these stories?
No, the book is about
Or is it like a history book?
It's about the Dalton gang specifically. The Dalton gang was like the last family to really do it big. Because by the time the 20th century came around, they just turned into mobsters in the cities.
Right.
So
there's a YouTube video on him.
About Ned Christie?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a bunch of shit. I'm sure, and I'm like I said, that story is only like 75% accurate. I'm telling it as I remember it, but I can't promise every single detail.
Yeah. I've been meaning to read more history books. History is fascinating. I used to not like history at all. I used to think it was a waste of time.
History is sick as fuck.
Yeah, I know. I remember you asked me, Fish, if this was probably 5 years ago, but you asked me if I ever wanted to go to college, and I said, I don't think so. Because at the time, the only vision I really had for life was computer science. And I mean, a college degree is helpful, but most of what is going to get you far in computer science is actually just doing things, making stuff,
Right.
fixing things, is experience. like freelancing and that'll get you more than a degree would in computer science. But I said like, nah, college is stupid. Education. At that time, I also thought history was a waste of time. And
Yeah,
for some reason,
that's a wild take.
yeah, I guess I just stopped being a little shit. I guess.
It's taught like shit. Like the way that history is taught when you're a kid and in high school is boring.
Yeah.
It
I
is
think-
straight up boring. The problem
Yeah.
is you don't get to hear any of the good shit until you get to college, and then by then the people that are in the college courses are already the people that decided they like it. You need to tell everyone when they're in high school and junior high the good shit, so that more, you know what I mean, the kids who need to hear the good shit have already missed out on it because they say history sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was just painfully boring. But now I'm I don't even know that much about history because I didn't care all my life. But yeah, there's a book called The Invention of Yesterday, which is super, like, it's a world history book, and it's about how like civilizations on the other side of the world influenced like us today, and how civilizations all around the world tie into each other, and they're not quite as isolated as we think. It's an interesting book.
That's the cool shit. It's all connected.
Yeah,
All of
everything's
it's
connected.
None of it works in a vacuum.
Right. Like we have gunpowder today because Buddhist monks figured out it was alchemy before chemistry, right? It was magic before science. And Buddhist monks were trying to figure some dumb shit out and made gunpowder on accident. And now we have gunpowder today. And I think that was in like Europe or something.
I mean, the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, and you could directly connect that to the fact that the U.S. just wanted silk.
What? Explain
Because-
that.
Because I think it was 1858 or 59, Japan was very isolationist. Like they did not f with anybody. They were just on their own. But people in the West knew that they had silk, and silk is very abundant over there.
Mhm.
So a bunch of explorers went to Japan, and they were like, hey, you guys want to start trading with, like, look at all this shit we got, and we could take some of your shit. It'd be great. This would be great for both of us. But Japan had been cut off from the entire world for like 400 years. So they were still living in, like, you think of like the Knights of the Round Table, you know, in Europe, like with armor and swords and like that's the time period they were still in. And then they got a bunch of people from the West who had guns, and they're like, hey, you guys want to trade with us? This will be so sick. Like, it'll be good for both of us. But you guys have swords and we have guns. So they traded for like 25 years, and they like consistently got their asses kicked in trade deals because they didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah.
It'd be like if you like went back to this 1800s and with all the knowledge you have to, you know what I mean? It just was
Right.
totally unfair. So then they did that for like 30 years and embarrassed them. And then World War I happened, and Japan helped in World War I. But because they were Asian, at the end, like all the European countries were like, yeah, that's cool, but you guys didn't really do shit. And so they didn't get anything they basically got nothing from the peace treaty, and they were embarrassed by it. So then they were pissed at us. And then blah, 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 blah. They got more upset, and then they bombed Pearl Harbor.
That's crazy. Yeah, history's fascinating. I need to read more books on it.
That was what my degree was in. I couldn't tell you much about history, though. I was really at that point in time in my life, like I was fascinated by history, but man, was I just kind of slamming history courses to just get through my degree. I wish I had honestly had the time and energy to pay more attention, I think.
Yeah, but it's way cooler to learn it now.
Yeah,
Especially with the internet, like you could learn anything you want now.
self-learned history, I think, is way better because you get to learn what you want to learn, and it's all so much more fascinating than yeah, Christopher Columbus founded America, which he didn't.
Shoot, I mean, you know those like like the Crash Course YouTube videos?
Yeah.
Those are
Yeah.
good. Those are good. I've watched a lot of those, and they do obviously the history ones as well. Other ones also, but yeah, those are sick. Kind of just
And that's like entry level.
yeah. I mean, that's just the basics, and that's it's just I just love education presented that way.
Well, people love drama. Like they love watching movies and history is like all of the world's drama.
Yeah.
That is what it is. I mean,
Yeah, it's drama, but real.
it's humanity's greatest hits.
I mean,
You know how everyone is like, wow, music in the 60s and the 70s were so good. Like, look at all this great music. And it was good music, but like the shit that you hear from the 60s and 70s is the shit that lasted from the 60s and 70s. You know what I mean?
right?
Well, if you think about
You don't hear the mediocre stuff from the 60s and 70s.
Yeah, if you go back to like the very, very early days of music, like Beethoven, you have to think we can just listen to it now whenever we want. But when you listened to music in those days, you went out to go listen to music. There was no sitting on your couch and just popping some shit on. You put on your coat, you went out in the cold, you sat in a theater, sat for an hour, waited for everyone to get in. They closed the curtains, it got dark, and then all of a sudden, dun-dun-dun-dun, like it was so much more of an experience listening, just doing simple ass shit back in the day. So I feel like there's so much more just attached to that kind of music than there is today.
True. But I'm saying like even in the 90s, even something more recent, like if you were to just Google, the top 40 songs from 1997 and you get to song like 35 and you listen to it, you're going to be like, this sucks. You know what I mean? Like they had that sucked too. You just only hear the good shit from 40 years ago.
Right.
Because they're not passing on the bad shit.
Yeah.
But that's
That
what
shit
history
sticks.
is. That's history.
So you're saying the bombing of Pearl Harbor was America's greatest hit, one of them anyway.
It's certainly very relevant.
It's just such a funny way to put that. Just like these atrocities that have happened that are recorded. in history.
Maybe greatest hits isn't the best way to put it.
I like it. I think it's funny.
Most notable moments.
Yeah, landmarks of time. I would say something like that.
What's the episode title to this? Three guys just talk for an hour and a half about nothing. You guys familiar with Abraham Africanus?
What is that?
The only Abraham I know is Lincoln and the one from the Bible.
That's the one, baby.
What?
I had to do not a dissertation. I don't want to steal Dr. Valor, but I had to write a very big paper for my history degree. Ended up being like 40 pages.
Jesus.
And it was about Reconstruction, like immediately after the Civil War. And when I was doing research on it, I came across this book called Abraham Africanus. Abraham Africanus the First.
That sounds like a meme.
It kind of was a meme. It was a fiction book about Abraham Lincoln. It was written by someone from the South when he was running for president the second time. And the story in the book is that Abraham Lincoln was possessed by a African demon. And that's why he was hell-bent on destroying America and freeing the slave. Because he had been possessed by an African demon.
Where does destroying America and freeing slaves?
Okay,
intertwined?
my impression.
Because you have to put your mind you have to think as someone in the South.
Yeah, this is
was-
an
it was
opinion
like-
held
you're
by.
right, you're right.
It was
by
propaganda.
pro-slave.
It was a propaganda piece. It was like a 65-page book. It was like a short story about like the evil origin story of President Lincoln.
That's actually I would read that book.
That's really funny.
That's pretty. Yeah. So it was a propaganda piece. Okay.
Yeah. I don't
That's
know if you
pretty
can.
sick.
I don't know if there's a full PDF of the full text online, but like if you Google it, you can see the cover of the book. Yeah, Abraham Africanus the First, his secret life, mysteries of the White House.
And this was publicly fiction, or was it tried to play?
It was fiction. No, well, I mean, I guess some of them might have thought he was possessed by an African demon.
So I feel like anybody with an ounce of sense would have been able to identify that this is a propaganda.
Well, but the idea was like Lincoln was destroying, because even some of the Republicans weren't super on board with freeing the slaves. So not only is he fighting with his political opponents, but some people in his party also don't agree. And he's so committed to this that he's willing to go to war about it. That's what their argument was.
Yeah, I guess the Civil War wasn't cool.
No, Civil War in any context, I would like it on record I'm against.
Captain America Civil War, I would say I'm for.
Yeah, you can order it. You can order it for $21 on Amazon.
So wait, what are we saying now that we don't support civil wars?
I don't like Civil War. I'm out on Civil War. I'm out on war.
Wait, hold on. Wait. Give me a second here. Civil War is what got us freedom for the slaves. I feel like it's kind of necessary, don't you think?
Okay, now we're back to where we were 45 minutes ago. Do the ends justify the means
True.
here?
Also true. Also, hey, that's way to tie it all in a nice bow.
I don't want to get.
I would say yes, but
listen, I don't want to get controversial. Okay, but recent events with Mario's brother Luigi and the CEO of the healthcare company, whatever it was. I mean, Mario's brother. So I mean, obviously we're not in a civil war right now, but a lot of people could make the argument that, in a way, potentially he was trying to start something of that nature. You know,
I have a friend who is entirely supportive of the killer here.
Okay.
I don't know much about this situation.
Is the friend in this call?
No. I don't know much about this situation.
Is
the friend in the room with us?
So I don't know what's going on here. All I know is that some dude killed a healthcare CEO because the healthcare CEO was making a quite unpopular decision. That is the extent of my knowledge.
Didn't that Luigi guy have insurance through there, and he had like a back problem? I heard that he had any of that. I heard that he had some like chronic back problem, and I don't know. But also he like disappeared for 3 months, and he got really into psychedelics, so he could have had a schizophrenic break.
I don't know about any of that. All I know,
I don't know if that's true either. I just heard it on another podcast, so I'm gonna say it's fact.
Okay, that's
everything you read on the internet is fact.
That is my favorite thing
I heard it on the internet.
Exactly.
Maybe that doesn't apply.
But basically, here's the extent of what I know that happened. CEO of healthcare in general, big scummy organization, bad industry. Luigi said, "It's a me," and shot the guy. And then now everybody's even more mad at healthcare than usual, and feel like this was maybe a just action. I'm not saying anything.
He also like shot the guy, and he had a silencer, and then he rode away on a city bike, and then he was like, how do you shoot a guy at 7:30 in the morning and then you don't get arrested for like hours?
It was like days, I thought, wasn't it? There was a manhunt for days. He got caught at the Mickey D's, bro.
Yeah, that's crazy. Also, yeah.
That it sounds like this is not a single party endeavor.
Oh, that dude got whacked. I mean, that was on purpose. That was not a random. That was no rando.
Yeah.
Okay. You think somebody ordered it?
Well, do you think he's the only person involved?
I've heard that the lone gunman theory is a strictly American concept.
I mean, at this point, nobody thinks JFK was a lone gunman deal.
Right. But like the lone gunman theory. Anytime there's
You
any
think that's-
sort of like act in other, like that's, we're always quick to say it was one crazy guy. That's not how other societies look at it.
Well, when on Trump's first assassination, or first attempted assassination, not the first time he died, the shooter, when he shot like, I don't know, 4 or 5 shots, and he was immediately killed afterwards from other snipers. His phone was cleared. His entire house was stripped clean, even of silverware. Everything was white.
And he was in a BlackRock commercial the year before.
What is BlackRock?
BlackRock is like a giant investment firm, and they buy up a bunch of properties in the United States. It's BlackRock. There's like 3 companies that if you trace back who own, because it's like companies owning companies owning companies.
Yeah.
It's like BlackRock, State Street, and like 2 others. They own like 80% of the companies in the U.S. And they own they like buy up properties. Like when a company comes in, like if you put your house on the market and like an LLC from like 4 states away is like, we'll give you way over market value for this. It's some shit like that.
I know.
Crazy
like-
you said you wanted to get sponsors, and then we immediately started talking about conspiracy assassinations.
Yeah. That's probably my point being. Where I was going with that was perhaps there's government intervention with both the JFK thing and the first Trump assassination. Maybe this whole one gunman theory thing is orchestrated by the people that are a part of these assassinations. These
JFK is like, that is like almost as cut and dry as it gets that they killed JFK.
the CIA killed.
They started the CIA after World War II because they were like, we need to keep an eye on, because during World War II, they realized that they were really not prepared for warfare like that at first because they had never really done it. Like other countries, like European countries had gone to war like that, but we really hadn't done that yet. Like we were in World War I, but we didn't have a big part in it. World War II was like a massive undertaking, and they were very overmatched in a lot of like intelligence areas. So they created the CIA and the FBI, and the CIA was FBI was local, domestically, and the CIA is abroad. The same sort of shit. They're just supposed to keep an eye on things. And which you could argue, even the idea of that is insane. But they saw that shit, and then Kennedy came in, because this would have only been like 15 or 20 years after it had been created. And Kennedy's like, we do not need to be doing this. Like, there's no reason for us to be doing this shit. And they were making assloads of money in communist states. The CIA was like with under the table deals and stuff. So JFK was like, we got to stop doing this shit. And they killed him. Who killed him? Not Jack Ruby.
John
Oswald.
Wilkes.
John Wilkes Booth was Lincoln.
No, that was Lincoln.
No, Oswald.
Yeah, that was Lincoln. Wrong guy. Lee Harvey Oswald.
Lee Harvey Oswald, yeah. He had gone back and forth to the Soviet Union like 4 times before he killed him.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And
So
then,
there's no way.
and then he kills him. Then he shoots him. And then when he gets arrested, and then as he's going to go on trial to talk, just some patriotic American comes up and shoots him. So he can't speak. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Jack Ruby. Jack Ruby just shows up and he's like, I love my country, and then shoots him. That's nuts. And then they killed him. So then they kill the president. The CIA kills the president, and they got away with it. And then they're like, we can do whatever the fuck we want. And then they have for the last 50 years.
I don't think
You're
that
never
that's
getting a sponsor.
controversial.
You're never getting sponsors.
I don't think that's a controversial take, probably. But
No, I think it's pretty well accepted.
yeah, I was gonna say I mean, Donald Trump said he was going to release the files on
Yeah,
JFK.
but then he said he read them and he's like, "Oh, we don't want to do that."
After that, he said I think he said like if they told you what they told me about it, you wouldn't.
I'm not even a Trump
either.
guy. I'm not even a Trump guy, but I do think part of the reason they don't like him is because he is less likely to play ball.
Oh, yeah, that's a pretty known
with the CIA.
deal.
Like, and I don't even f- with Trump like that, but I do think that's why they don't like him. Is because like they knew we're gonna start talking politics.
We've delved into this maybe not the conspiracy side, but yeah, everybody in the government pretty much doesn't like Trump. I mean, 40 of his 40 whatever cabinet members last time said don't vote for this guy again. Like, no, people don't like this guy.
But they all get got. I mean, they all get compromised. I mean, the shit that Epstein was doing with politicians is the same shit that.
Oh my God. He said he was going to release the Epstein's Island list as
the
well.
The same shit Epstein was doing with the politicians and the scientists is what Diddy was doing with the musicians and the actors. It's the same shit.
It's blackmail. It's getting leverage. Yeah. I don't think any of those things are actually going to happen. I'm pretty sure they're staying secret. Yeah.
Of course.
He obviously is just saying those as an election leverage, but
yeah, just like how they said they were going to cancel my student loans and then they decided not to.
If
Biden swore, we're going to cancel student debt, I promise. And then he got elected and he said, I don't know. Maybe later.
Well, that's why you can't. That's why in my head, pretty much anything presidential candidates say, no matter who they are, can't really be taken seriously because how many times do they say something during an election fight, they get elected, it doesn't happen.
I think that they should do. I have two rules I would like implemented. I think that you should never be allowed to talk about your political opponent ever.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear a single thing about the other guy. And I think there should not be a vice president. I think that if you and Fish ran, if you guys were the Democrat and the Republican, whichever one lost, that's the vice president.
Whoa! That would never work. I can get on board with your first one. That one, hell no. Are you insane?
I want them to fucking talk it out. We got to figure it out.
That's never going to work.
Obviously, it's never going to happen, but that's what I want to happen.
Bro, a prerequisite for being president is you basically have to be a narcissistic psycho.
Yes, literally.
If you want, no rational human actually wants to be the president. So like,
think of the best person you know. They would never want to be president.
No.
Think of the best person to be president. They'd rather kill themselves than be president.
If Keanu Reeves was president, I think then we would actually have no more war.
Fish, who do you want to be president? If you could pick anybody.
Dude.
There's no one better than Keanu Reeves, dude.
I mean, listen, there's a lot of people like in the public eye who I think, I don't know if I'd say qualified, but like, listen, personality wise, I think Keanu Reeves is a good pick. He seems like a down to earth dude. Honestly, so Schwarzenegger was governor of California.
Yeah.
He seems like a pretty chill dude. I don't know. Bro, dude.
Yeah, I'll be the president.
So I don't know, somebody like that. Somebody super chill.
Dismantle the nukes.
Somebody super chill. We can get somebody super chill, like Wiz Khalifa.
Oh my God.
I mean, you know.
What about like
Ice Cube? You know Ice Cube?
Oh yeah, that would be a good one. I would take Ice Cube.
Like a hard black guy.
Yeah. Not for that reason, but just
a hard black man.
Not like a black guy with an erection, but
that's what I thought. But
that's exactly what I thought.
Like a black guy just permanently hard. That could be a sick president.
Honestly,
Isn't
yeah.
that how
It'd
black
be
guys
intimidating
are?
as fuck. Could you imagine if just a permanently hard black guy was president?
Yeah.
Dude, imagine that.
Just
imagine
debating
that,
with
like,
Xi Jinping.
like he goes to Russia to meet with Putin. And he's just erect the entire time.
That would throw him off.
Putin wouldn't be able to think. He would submit.
He'd jack him off, I think.
Maybe.
I don't know if you go that far, but it certainly would be impossible to ignore, and you couldn't be dominant. You could not. If you were having a important discussion about war and foreign policy and shit, you couldn't be dominant. If you saw a guy with a f***ing raging boner, you could not be the dominant person. That is a fact. Especially if they were Ice Cube.
Did you ever hear the story about Putin stealing a Super Bowl ring?
No.
What? No?
Supposedly, I don't know if this is true. It could just be folklore. It just could be a story. But Robert Kraft, he owns the Patriots, and he met Putin somewhere. I don't know if he went to Russia or what, but Putin like asked him to see one of the Super Bowl rings because Robert Kraft, like the Patriots won like 6 Super Bowls in the last 15 years. So he was showing him the Super Bowl ring, and Putin took it and then just took it. And he was like, "Can I get that back?" And he's like, "No." So allegedly he's got a Super Bowl ring. I don't know if that's true though. Just a story I heard.
That doesn't sound true.
It's a power move if it's true though.
I mean, yeah, what is old Patriots guy going to do about it?
Sports Illustrated wrote on it. I think we're running out of steam.
Yeah, the steam we're running out of coal to throw into the steam engine. So we'll wrap it up. Thank you everybody for listening in or watching. I appreciate that we will have no chance of getting ads on this video or sponsors from here on out, and we'll talk to you next week.
Peace out.